If you are reading colonial documents from Mexico or any other part of the Spanish-speaking colonies in the Americas, it can be a challenge. Especially if you're reading stuff from the 16th century or the 1500s, you might have some decent writing like this. Okay, you can read it, but you'll notice that they use a lot of abbreviations, which will be very challenging if this is the first time that you're encountering these documents and you have not read any guidebooks whatsoever or gotten any tips from fellow researchers. And you'll find a variety of scripts. Sometimes you'll get stuff like this. This might look simple, but again, you're having the issue of many abbreviations being used. Now, if you're doing more late colonial period, like 1700s, 1800s, you'll definitely find writing that's easier to read like this, for example. But again, going back to the 16th century, you have more challenging stuff like this, more challenging documents like this one. Yes, this is all completely written in Spanish. I often get students or other folks who ask, is it Arabic? No, this is all in Spanish. I am neither lying nor kidding when I say that the very first time that I looked at a document like this, I wanted to cry. I just wanted to give up being a historian who studies the colonial period and just wanted to do something on modern Mexico or the later colonial period, especially coming across stuff like this. But with practice and also with the necessary resources, it can not make it necessarily faster, but it can make you a better reader. Because sometimes even with writing like this, it can take you at least up to an hour, sometimes just to try to transcribe an entire page. Again, yes, this is all in Spanish, you're seeing that they're using a lot of abbreviations, but thankfully there are resources, there are guidebooks for reading this kind of writing. And those types of guidebooks can be very helpful because sometimes you might come across microfilm documents, depending on which archive you go to and how their collection is housed, but it's still going to be a challenge reading some of this stuff. So again, you don't have to quit if you're a researcher, a historian that's looking at these types of documents. Just know what the resources are. I want to talk about some of those available online. And I do want to emphasize that these are resources that I've personally used. This was actually one of the very first tools that I used as a graduate student, SpanishPaleographyTool.org. The cool thing about this resource that I used is that there's a drop-down menu of different Spanish colonial documents. So for example, this one that I selected here is Description of Sugar and Agricultural Estates of La Española in the 1530s. So you could practice your paleography skills with various documents. They even include a sample alphabet of the document that you are reading, so you can see the different ways that they spell I, for example, or the letter R, the different ways that they spell que, and how they spell por, for example. They also include a sample transcription, which you can follow along line by line. So again, a very good tool to practice. This is another resource that I learned about. As a graduate student, I did have the privilege of getting a Mellon fellowship where I learned Spanish paleography, and this was one of the tools that was introduced to us from Dr. Carla Ron Phillips. This is a video series by the University of Colorado Springs. So make sure to Google Spanish paleography and historical resources by them. And on this website, they do mention a video lecture series. So I did check out one of the videos that talked about the SIL rest strategy for deciphering the documents. So strategy 1, scan the entire document. Strategy 2, identify the letters, abbreviations, and numbers that you can recognize, etc., etc. As you can see here, they have a video for the SIL rest strategy that I just described. They also have these e-publications and practicums available in PDF format that you can check out for free. Another resource that I use that actually is not free is the following book, A Paleographic Guide to Spanish Abbreviations, 1500 to 1700. And if you go to the publisher's website, Universal Publishers, they do have the first 25 pages free to read. So you might want to check that out if you eventually decide to buy the book. You could kind of think of this book as your cheat sheet for Spanish abbreviations. So for example, the different ways that they spell alcalde, alguna, that they spell alguno, the different ways that they spell it as well. And last but not least, just this summer, I came across this resource, the Handbook for Translators of Spanish Historical Documents. It's a notebook published in PDF format by the Illinois Library. And similar to the other book I just mentioned, it does have this cheat sheet for the various abbreviations, among other resources. The last free resource I do want to share is archive.org. I am a stand for archive.org. You know this if you're my students. And if you just put on the search bar Spanish paleography, you will come across many resources for free. You'll find a mix of books that are both in English and in Spanish. And a lot of these books are out of print and are available for free fully on the website. But to access some of them, you'll have to create a free account on archive.org. So that's it for my list of free resources that are available electronically for studying Spanish paleography. But if y'all happen to know about any others that you would like to add to this list, please feel free to share them in the comments. Thank you.